overall, ooh,
Corona. He's got the SARS.
No, overall, I feel like I got what I expected out of these two guys. I just wish it would have been better.
Wish it would have exceeded expectations.
Yes. Yeah, that's where we sit. And the starting score is 1-1.
Woohoo.
Yes. Then we had Darby Allin defeating Sammy Guevara in 5 minutes, but this match was about 3 times longer than that. It just, all hell broke loose before anybody got in the ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, Darby Allin launching at Guevara right off the bat was fantastic. From inside the ring, and Guevara's outside the ring, and just...
Oh, yeah, he just rode his skateboard down, got into the ring, and just launched right out of the ring.
It was
like
bad.
It was awesome. But then he almost really fucked himself up because he went for a second suicide dive, and his feet hit the ropes, and he pretty much landed on his head.
Yeah.
It was not good. It was scary. I thought the match was going to be over.
It wasn't really the head in his floor. It was the head in in the barricade, I feel like, was what connected more so.
Yeah, he didn't.
But even still, shoving your spine downward is not a good thing to do.
No. Wasn't good. Guevara had one bright point in this match. At least that's my opinion, and you mentioned it. I thought it was a 6:30.
I remembered it all week, and I didn't
called
even...
it a 5:20 frog splash. So
yeah. I thought it was at least 6:30 because I'm like, whoa, that shit had some rotation.
It was
from
it was
the top
awesome.
rope to a table outside. It was beautiful.
It was very awesome. And Pasty, we should let everybody know who didn't watch this. Everything we've talked about so far happened before the match started.
Yes.
The match hasn't started yet. Uh-oh. So it was cool. I loved it. It was great. This is what these two guys needed to bring out. And it was actually pretty high impact even once the match started. It was a little, they kind of blew their load at the beginning, which could or couldn't be a bad thing. I don't know. Darby Allin scored with the coffin drop, which was great. And basically, to me, this was, I guess, what I would have hoped. It was a showcase for Darby Allin. I don't think Sammy Guevara did much for me in this other than that 6:30, whatever it might have been.
As a young heel, he really doesn't have to do much. You know what I mean?
I would disagree. I think the heels should do more.
I think he will in time, but he's young. He's got a lot of potential and a lot of growing to do. And when he goes, he goes. And he's not the only one in AEW who can do that, as we'll see later on in the show.
And this, similar to the match we just talked about, really, I think Allin made this match, and Sammy just happened to be there. I think he could have had this match with almost anybody, but I think it helped. It got Sammy on the card, and I think it doesn't hurt Sammy to lose this. Again, he's in the inner circle, so they're kind of telling a story right now.
With these two guys being similar sized and similar age, I look forward to seeing more of their matches in the future and seeing how it can evolve.
I look forward to seeing more Darby Allin matches with the guys his size. Mm-hmm. He doesn't always have to be the underdog.
No. He's a great underdog.
He plays a fantastic underdog, but he doesn't always have to be. So,
did you watch Dynamite?
You asked me, and I said no.
Okay, yeah. So Jericho said if Moxley and Darby beat him and Guevara, he would take a 6-month leave of absence. No, not even. It was if Moxley wasn't taken out on a stretcher.
Okay. Yep.
And so they jumped Moxley before the match, and so Darby fought Jericho and Guevara 2-on-1, and then eventually the whole faction got in on it. But it was a pretty good way to go. And
then, as I mentioned when we talked about this before the match, Darby Allin did the same damn suicide dive that he almost killed himself on this pay-per-view, and it ended up taking him to the Daggum hospital because Chris Jericho hit and we'll talk about it later in the injury report. But nonetheless, it's like, oh my gosh, learn your lesson, son.
I mean, He's a Juggalo wrestler. It's very apparent. I've watched a couple interviews with him. One was listen to the Chris Jericho podcast with him, and the stories he tells and everything. You can tell he's a Juggalo. They just don't want him to say it, which I think is kind of dumb. AEW should be the ones to like embrace that. Yeah,
well, you know what? I think dipshit has ruined that for any wrestler going forward, and it's pathetic.
Dipshit.
Oh, whoever. Fuck this shit. Whatever his dumb ass name is.
I love him.
You might love him, but he's horrible for pro wrestling. He is the epitome of.
They said that about the Young Bucks
everything.
too.
No, nobody. This is different than the Young Bucks. This guy is completely just.
He was on Being the Elite, right?
All he does is jump onto household appliances and thinks he's a pro wrestler. That's everything. I've seen every video he's ever made. That's what he does. I'm going to jump on a toaster. I'm a wrestler. I'm going to jump on light tubes. I'm a wrestler. I'm going to jump off
He's
a
more
couch
of a stuntman,
onto a futon.
really.
I know, but he plays it that he's a wrestler.
Yeah.
His thing is that he's a pro wrestler, and I do it for the juggalos and the juggalettes. Not a single juggalo likes you dumb shit.
Oh, we all do.
I know because I'm friends with juggalos, and I'm on pages, and everybody despises this wannabe pissant fuck. I just can't stand him. I'm sorry, but I cannot stand that stupid fucker. As a wrestler, as an ICP fan, as everything, he's what's bad with the entire universe. That's what I had to say about that.
All right. So let's get into what's great with the entire universe, and that was hands down the best match on the card. The AEW Tag Team Championships, seeing Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page retain their titles against the Young Bucks in some of the best storytelling we've seen in America.
That's just it. That's even right in my first sentence in my notes. Spectacular storytelling, deep character work. Especially Matt Jackson and Hangman Page. They stood out for me.
Yes.
Those two, which surprises me.
The spitting, so good.
Because Nick is usually the more charismatic, and of course Kenny Omega speaks for himself. I don't even have to follow up with that. But no, those two really. And the fans were into every second of this. A half hour. It went 30 minutes, 56 seconds, almost 31 minutes. And the fans were never bored. On their feet for every single near fall, Pasty. Every single one.
And there was a lot. I mean, it's a Young Bucks match.
Right. But they were more realistic. Most of them.
Yeah.
than some of them. And we got to see a nastier side of the Bucks.
Yes.
I like that. Yeah, very much.
And eventually they started taking their nastier side out on Kenny Omega because it was mostly reserved for Page. They wanted to have a friendly match and shook hands with Kenny Omega at the beginning, went to do it with Page, and then was that when Page spit on Matt?
That's when he spat. That's when he spat in his face.
Yeah. Because Page does not want to be part of the Elite anymore, and he needs to make that statement clear. And that's what this whole match, that was the whole story of this match.
And Pasty, this match was like the exact opposite of the last two matches, whereas every single wrestler was a piece to a beautifully extraordinary puzzle.
Yes.
Like this wasn't one, the last two matches I think it was one wrestler in a match against opponent X, and it was what it was. This match, all four people, it would be a completely different match if one of the four people were changed.
Yeah, very much. And the way that the story is played out since, God, Page said he didn't want to be part of the Elite probably, 4 or 5 months ago?
Yep.
And it's been playing out ever since, and it's a good payoff, and it's not done yet. Do you have spots during the match you want to talk about, or do we just want to get to the post match?
Not really. I got a lot I've wrote about it, but it's like it's one of those matches you're watching more than writing down certain spots.
Yeah, no, I had intended on taking notes, and then I took zero.
I legitimately have in here. This took me on an emotional roller coaster that paid off the months of booking. So yeah, like. I had more descriptive words than anything.
What was the finish? Was it the buckshot rainmaker?
The finish was the buckshot The
Trigger.
V-Trigger. Thank you. Yeah, Buckshot V-Trigger to end it, which it should have been. That should have been the finish if you're having them go over, and I liked that.
That's a good move. Like, it's very safe, but it looks like you're crushing the guy from both sides, and it could hurt a lot.
I do want to mention they did the Indie Taker on the ramp.
Yes.
And that they also did a rolling...
belly-to-back suplexes.
Rolling suplexes, and he did like the first 2 or 3 on the ramp, but then he made sure to go over to the plexiglass where they got the video screen and made sure to do the last one on that. And I thought just that little bit right there, it takes a little bit out of the realism, but it also adds to the showmanship.
There's more of a payoff to the spot.
And it was like, you could see that he meant for it to go into there, and it didn't quite do it. And he had enough state of mind to say, we're doing the last one on there. So I'm going to shuffle back 3 steps and we're going to do it. And he did it. And it's like, it did take me out of the realism, but I liked the production of it. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's something I noticed. And it's something that they're obviously consciously thinking about. And that's always a positive. Mm-hmm. That you're thinking. That's a positive. Come on, WWE.
Right. Oh, man. You could not get this kind of match in WWE if you tried.
No, you wouldn't. And if somebody did, it'd be the last time they got a main spot on a match. Sadly.
I can't believe this was a early mid-card match.
This should have been the opening match. This would have been a good opener.
Oh, that would have been rough, though. Nothing would have been able to...
if you had the other 2 follow it, that's a good... Well, actually, if you had the last few follow it, it would be a nice little slump until you built it back up. But...
Swap this with MJF Cody. I think you've got a better feeling card than what we had.
Here you go. But then we followed it up. Not great, Pacey. Not great.
No. Nyla Rose... Well, it's the AEW Women's Championship on the line. Nyla Rose retained, as most would have predicted. Chris Statlander is a very green rookie, and it showed a lot in this match.
It did. And
Nyla did everything in her power to try to carry it.
She did.
But it wasn't enough to make this good. And, I mean, it's Nyla's first title defense.
Correct.
And it's against somebody everybody knew was going to lose.
And she's kind of, she's a lot like a Britt Baker. She's brought in with huge fanfare.
Yeah.
She's touted as somebody that's going to be future. And you know what? And she came off as a future star in here. I mean, you can see glimmers of greatness in her, but not so much the ring work. It was the beginning of this match. It was ugly, disjointed, clunky. The audience wasn't into it, but by God,
it's
when you
hard
follow
to
that last, they were spent. It's like when you're done blowing your load, and then the woman starts sucking your dick, and it's like, well, I mean, I enjoy it.
I might fall asleep,
but I might fall. Yeah, exactly. I will say though, towards the end of the match, I thought they both actually started clicking, and the last half of the match was a good last half of a match. I enjoyed it. They seemed to know what they were doing. I felt if we'd have seen that in the first half of the match, we would have been telling a different story. I gave this match the lowest grade. This match and the next match, to be honest, I gave the same grade, sadly. But also, I think part of it is also AEW. If they had a story behind this, maybe it would be a little better for the fans. AEW has not developed any real stories for their women's division. Still, it's a year in the making now, and that was something they touted was their women's division, and they were going to have Brandy in charge of it, and she cared about it. We're still not getting it, and that's going to hurt every single championship match and women's match going forward. If you don't have a story, if we don't care about the outcome or even what's coming up or the build up, why do we care about the match itself?
Right. Yep. I'm hoping they do better by Nyla in the future. Obviously she's going to remain a dominant champion until she probably loses it in a multi-woman match.
I would assume. And by the way, if y'all haven't heard the Talk is Jericho with Nyla Rose. Oh,
I have
one of the
not.
best
I should.
one of the best I've listened to. I'd recommend going and listening to that one.